Well, good morning, good evening, good night, depending on which part of the world you may well be in. It's great to be with you. My name is Keith Pitt. I'm the Federal Member for Hinkler and the Minister for Resources, Water and Northern Australia for the Commonwealth Government. Can I thank each and every one of you, brought to you by the power of technology, and of course my gratitude to Trade and Investment Queensland for this online initiative. I also want to acknowledge our friends around the world who may be listening or watching, whether that is in Japan, Singapore, Korea, China or elsewhere, and thank them for joining us at this early hour of the morning for them. We do, however, meet at a time of great uncertainty in terms of the global economy as countries around the world continue to battle the COVID-19, the coronavirus pandemic. The pandemic has, of course, wreaked havoc on businesses and jobs in many countries right around the world. And for the first time in almost 30 years, Australia now faces a recession. But we did enter this crisis from a position of strength. And the Australian government was quick to act with a $260 billion response package. Now, as a result, our economy has done better than most. And overnight, it's been identified that we have maintained our AAA credit rating. If there is one thing the crisis has reinforced, it is the critical importance of our resources sector to the economy of our nation and its interests. The resources sector has shown incredible resilience, just as it did during the global financial crisis 11 years ago. Australian coal, iron ore and LNG exports are helping to protect our economy and will continue to play a key role in our recovery from the current crisis. I do want to talk about this today. I want to put why it's important we attract new investments and build new industries and new supply chains in Australia. As a nation, we have every reason to keep our resources sector strong. It is the mainstay of our economy. It accounts for 25% of our GDP growth, and contributes some 59% of our goods and services exports. Last year, export earnings reached a record $281 billion. Now that reflects our hard-earned reputation as a staple of these commodities. And it's likely that we are going to exceed this figure in 2019-20, a truly strong performance from the sector in the face of the current pandemic. Now, more than 1 million Australians are employed directly or indirectly in the resources sector, and many of those are in regional areas. Right here in my home state of Queensland, it's around 300,000 workers, from engineers to truck drivers to port workers to pie van operators. In fact, 1 in every 7 jobs in Queensland is related to the resources sector, and these jobs are among the most highly paid in Australia. So I'm pleased our resources sector has weathered the pandemic and will continue to do so moving forward. And I want to thank those companies out there for going above and beyond to keep their workers and local communities safe and keep their mines and other operations in operation. Now, here in Queensland, we've seen companies such as BHP invest billions of dollars in supporting the establishment of COVID-19 testing centres. Australia is well positioned to lead the bounce back from the economic impact of the pandemic. Now, this is not to underestimate the challenges, the disruptions that are facing our major trading partners, and weakened prices for some commodities, and of course lockdowns around the world. Now, we're working with industry to understand, for example, in terms of the movement of workers and how we can help minimise risk while protecting worker safety. The states and territories are working together to make sure workers are able to move across their borders as much as possible. Now, we're also working at a Commonwealth level to ensure specialist personnel from overseas in Australia continue to be available to respond in an emergency. Ultimately, early recovery will rely on how quickly the sector adapts to the evolving crisis and continues to leverage our world-class innovation and skilled workers. Now, what makes our mining investment tick, or our mining sector tick, is investment. And it is terrific to see that mining capital expenditure has held up against COVID-19. Now, the latest Australian Bureau of Statistics data shows that $8 billion was invested in the March quarter. That's 9% above the level a year ago, 9% above. But more investment is always needed. And there hasn't been a better time than now. Australia continues to maintain an investment policy that is transparent, that is predictable, that is non-discriminatory. And we have a long history of welcoming foreign investment in our resources sector. In 2018, over $365 billion in direct foreign investment flowed to the Australian mining and quarrying sectors. At 37.8%, it was the largest share of foreign investment. But we will not rest on our laurels. We continue to improve the investment environment through better policy, through cutting red tape, through opening new basins and geological research. In fact, this week, I announced a $125 million extension to our world-leading Exploring for the Future program. This cutting-edge program, delivered by Geoscience Australia, investigated the prospectivity of Northern Australia for the last 4 years. Now, to date, the program has investigated over 3 million square kilometres across Northern Australia, representing 40% of Australia's landmass, and we've now committed to extending those investigations into the south. This program has a track record of delivering results and encouraging investment. In just one example, Santos's $95 million commitment to additional exploration in the South Nicholson Basin on the Northern Territory-Queensland border was built off the back of data from this program. Now, extending the program to cover all of Australia quite simply makes sense, and we hope to identify new existing minerals provinces, driving investment in the resources sector for decades to come. All levels of government must strive to maintain favourable policy settings. Arrow Energy's recent decision to give a $10 billion Surat Basin gas project to go ahead reflects this enabling policy environment. The project will bring more reliable gas supplies to Australia's East Coast users and help our trading partners recover with our LNG exports. Now, we are opening up new basins to investment. We are opening up new basins to jobs, from the Galilee Basin in Queensland to the Beetaloo Basin in the Northern Territory. In the Galilee, new projects like Adani's Carmichael mine could double Australia's thermal coal production and create up to 15,000 jobs. Our high-quality coal will play an important part in the global recovery. We are also reducing the cost of doing business through cutting red tape. And to support this goal, we asked the Product Commission to look into regulations affecting business investment in the resources sector. New reforms to our foreign investment laws will also streamline approval processes for investments in non-sensitive businesses. We're keen to drive new investment for our critical minerals industry, and we have established the Critical Minerals Facilitation Office to help that happen. Our goal is to position Australia as a secure and reliable supplier of critical minerals to our key trading partners. Now, COVID-19 has highlighted a new imperative for Australia: the need to turbocharge our own production system to supply essential goods, such as pharmaceuticals and medical equipment. Our manufacturing companies have demonstrated how quickly they can pivot towards making medical and personal protective equipment. Our resources sector can take a cue from this. We can process and manufacture things using some of the raw materials we extract here. Critical minerals, including rare earths, offer exciting value-adding opportunities. Critical minerals are essential inputs to many of the technologies that are key to Australia's continued prosperity and security. That COVID-19 has reinforced the strategic importance of critical minerals and the role that Australia can play to diversify our supply chains. We can create, for example, a battery supply and value chain in Australia, and we have invested $25 million in an industry research collaboration, the Future Battery Industry CRC. Now, I'm encouraged by the proactive steps being taken in Queensland to pursue those value-adding opportunities to projects such as Australia Mines Limited's Scone Cobalt Nickel Scandium project. It is a world-class asset with the potential to contribute to the battery precursor chemicals for the growing electric vehicle market. There are a lot of opportunities right around Australia. Now, in conclusion, Australia is slowly emerging from COVID-19 restrictions. We are reopening our economy with renewed optimism, but challenges remain, and we are not taking anything for granted. Our resources sector has cushioned the economic impacts of COVID-19, and I'm confident it will play a key role in our economic recovery, because the fundamentals of our sector remain strong. They absolutely remain strong. We have an abundant and diverse mineral and energy resource. We have a highly skilled workforce. We have innovative mining technology and services. We have a stable political and investment-friendly environment. Now, the opportunities to invest in our resources are quite simply endless. Ours is the rush that never ended, to paraphrase Australian historian Geoffrey Blaney. Can I thank each and every one of you for taking the time out this morning to listen to me as Australia's Resources Minister, because we do have a plan moving forward to make our country even greater, even stronger, with more jobs and more prosperity. Thank you all so much. I say good morning, God bless, and safe travels.